Rosemary, I already know, love, adore you. And I've been super privileged and blessed to be alongside you and witnessing what the last few years have brought forth in your life. But for our listeners, I want you to paint a picture. Who is Rosemary Lewis today? And I want to know like what the 5 year from now version of you, if she reflected on the you today, what is she going to think? Like the evolution that's already happened thus far, and then what God's still working. Like I have so many questions, but I want you to just give us a little idea of who you are, and really like we've been using this word fruitful in your life lately. What that fruitfulness will look like as time goes on.
So, of course, it's Liz who wants me to be my future self now.
I'm impatient. What do you want from me?
Like a good coach. So Rosemary today. So today I am a real estate broker in the great state of Texas. Not originally from Texas though, don't get it twisted. I am a Chi-town through and through. And God has just really been wrecking me over the last few years and just bringing me into what purpose is. Was not a natural entrepreneur. I was a school teacher for 14 years, got into real estate kind of on a whim, a direction from God, went into it, found some success, but knew early on that I felt the Holy Spirit saying, yeah, you're going to be here for a bit, right? Just for a little bit to get a platform, to, get a little bit of credibility with the world. You're already credible with me, so I don't want to get anyone to twist that up. But then I'm going to shift you into ministry. And I did not know what ministry would look like. Did not know if I was willing. Did not know if I wanted to do any of it. But it's happening. It's happening now. Now I am started off after being a broker, getting into coaching, being a coach, and then becoming a coach. And it became very clear that the way that I coach and the way that I connect with women is more of a discipleship process than a regular business coach trajectory. And that is the wave that I'm riding now and not resisting. So I think my 5 year self would look back and say, that's how it happened. Because my current self is trying to figure out, because I still have a robust, thank you, Jesus, real estate business. I am known in the community in one way and God is shifting me in another. So I believe in 5 years when that ministry focus it's already defined for the Lord, but when I just see how it unfolds, it will all make sense. And she's going to say, see, that's why you had to let it go back in 2025. And that's why you had to trust. And that's why you had to just take the next step and not worry about the whole staircase. So I think that she will lovingly chuckle at me for where we are.
Yeah, and this is already bringing me a sense of peace just listening to you and how I don't know, your faith is so deep, but you're human, so you navigate the ebbs and flows of like hearing God speak into your life and leaning into that, and then having those human moments of like, oh gosh, what's happening? Like this is, really hard, and it brings me peace because I know with great certainty that you're right. Future version of you is also right. Holy Spirit is right. And I know that you're signing up for a really tough path. But before we get into it, like I really want to dig into that more and the evolution of things more. But take us back to the earlier version of your business when it was truly just real estate. I met you soon after that, right? Like where you were starting to get nudges into creating Real Estate Bestie. You had gotten the podcast off the ground. I want to know did you have a moment where it was like, this can't just be it? Or like, how did Real Estate Bestie come to be? And I already know there's an evolution beyond Real Estate Bestie that's already in the works, but I just want to give people kind of like the timeline a little bit. And because I think it's very relatable of having we were just talking about this before we hit record, like when you've summited a mountain and you're doing well, and then God calls you into something else. You're like, wait, you want me to go back down into a valley and summit another mountain? Like that doesn't really make sense. So I think it's just going to be really helpful for people. But tell me a little bit about that for you.
Okay. So going back to what I said previously, entrepreneurship was just like, I'm not going to say it wasn't my jam, but I just never saw it for myself. And honestly, I don't think that I saw being a realtor as being an entrepreneur until I was in it. And I was like, oh, this is my business. Here we are. School teacher, played it safe. I probably do need to share that, there were some things in my childhood and in my upbringing that had me afraid to step out and take risks. Primarily, by the time I was 15 years old, 5 of my siblings had passed away, 3 from cancer, 1 from a brain aneurysm, and then my sweet brother was murdered on his way home in Chicago. So as you can imagine, going through all of that definitely shaped who I was. However, at some point I had accepted Christ early on in life, but because of the trauma of losing my siblings and really the devastation of my 15-year-old brother when I was 13, some kind of way I decided that the enemy and God were on equal playing fields. And if I let my life be loud for the Lord, then I would be subject to attack. And which you are, by the way, right? But I didn't understand that I already had the victory. So with that being said, I went into teaching in part because it was like paying homage to my brother who did not, get to complete what I thought his assignment was. Now I know different. And fast forward to, I'm sitting on the balcony one day at church and I clearly hear the Holy Spirit tell me to go help. Real estate was not on the table. It's something that my husband was doing. Liz, I cannot give you any reason of how I knew that that was what I was supposed to do, but did it quick cold turkey with no money in the bank. I became a real estate agent and started to, it was not easy, right? It definitely, I had all of the challenges that you can think of starting up a business and more mental than anything. But a gift that this career gave me was I now had a little more autonomy of my time and the freedom to choose of how I want to spend my time. And I chose to start spending my mornings with the Lord. So in spending my mornings with the Lord, I always say, I got to know the Creator, which helped me understand the creation a little better, which was me. And from that, I started to develop confidence in who God was calling me to be. And that confidence expressed itself in the marketplace, right? So now I'm gaining, clients and growing this business and growing success. And obviously you get other realtors like, girl, what are you doing? I see you're closing, people that I started off with at the brokerage thing. And I was like, well, I need to, I was sick of doing these coffee dates and I just didn't really have capacity. I was like, I need to really do a little course or something where I teach them what I'm doing. So I took a course that taught me how to teach a course, like an online course. And at the last minute of marketing this online course for $150, I decided maybe I should I wanted to think of a bonus. What can I do to make people think that this is worth it? Oh, we're going to add a group coaching component. And when we added that group coaching component, very first time, I did a group coaching, I was like, oh, and Jesus came out of my mouth that first night. And I was like, this is it. So from that, it just began to just inch up, inch up, inch up. I lost my mom in the process of that. My mother passed away unexpectedly. And as I was trying to reacclimate myself back to business, reacclimate myself back to serving real estate agents, I was like, well, let me just start this podcast, right? And really it was just because I wanted to have one place to house my content and not let the socials, everything that I did would be on social media and they could shut down at any day. And when I was trying to figure out what to call it, I was like, oh, I always call people bestie, hey bestie. So I called the podcast Real Estate Bestie, and here we are. From there, God we just started adding on more courses, more things. And then once I figured out that was what fueled me, I had a real estate coach at the time, but she was coaching me to have a mega team and just things that I just knew I wasn't in alignment with. Nothing in me wanted a mega team. Nothing in me wanted a big brokerage. I didn't want to manage agents in that way. I was like, I want to coach and equip women in real estate is where I thought it was at first. And I was like, I need a coach. And you appeared out of the sky.
No, I appeared out of Kimberly's. So Rosemary's assistant, Kimberly, I get this email to my team being like, will you take a call with my client, Rosemary? And at the time, I wasn't taking one-on-one clients. So I was hesitant, but there was something that in my spirit that was like, we've got to do this. Like, this feels like the right thing to just talk to her. And in that conversation with you, I could just feel that something was different and that the Holy Spirit was working in you and that there was something connecting us. And it was a mission that I really wanted to take on. So you were like, there was a willingness in you. Like, I literally at the end of that call, and I don't recall ever like hard selling you or anything because I wasn't even planning on proceeding. I was just like, oh, how can I help her? And just kind of point her in the right direction. And I quote, end of call, you say, take my money.
I did, because you were speaking, like, you were, so there are a couple things to be said with that. Like, I think once you start the path of, okay, God, what do you want me to do? He's going to light it up, right? But you have to take action. So in that conversation with Kim, she's like, well, I know some people who they work with this lady, and we kind of looked at your website, and I trust Kim, and I was like, okay, let's take a call with her. But if it sounds like good, I'm in. Like, because I knew I needed somebody, right? And I knew that what I had access to, and I also knew that what I was looking to do, I hadn't seen it. Right. I didn't know who to go. And when we had that initial call and you put words to the things that I did not know how to put words to, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in. Like, I am in. I'm going to figure out like the investment, because this is what I need. And let me just say this. I think I probably have told you this, Liz, but a lot of things that would have, this is how I know God has worked on me. A lot of things that would have been a disqualifier from the beginning were not issues. Like, so the financial investment, like I had never been a part, like I was new to investing in myself in that way. Right.
Right.
So like normally I would have been like, oh, how much is it? Absolutely not. You're younger than me considerably.
I wouldn't go as far as considerably.
But there was a point in my life where I thought that I could not take direction from somebody. I was looking at age, where experience and age are two completely different things, right? The fact that what you taught wasn't like this real estate business strategy, that would have been a disqualifier for me previously. But like, it was like, no, this is who I need for who I'm becoming, not who I currently am. So after we had that conversation, it was just okay, I just have to figure it out. But this is who I'm supposed to be within the season.
And what made me want to not worry about the business model that I had at the time, which didn't include one-on-one, was there was such evidence to me, even in just that conversation, Rosemary, of how coachable you were. And in every way, like not just me coaching you, but room for the Holy Spirit to speak into like what's next for you. Like that was very evident and exciting for me to step into with you. And it's been true all the way through. So when we started working together, the big thing in the beginning, which is super common for all of us, me included, is like, okay, how do I scale this thing? Right. So we were looking at Real Estate Bestie. We were looking at the momentum that you were building. You were planning your very first event. It was going to be a big beast for you to carry out, right? Like you had the expenses of hosting all these people and selling tickets. And it was kind of like this pressure cooker that you feel in the beginning of like, how do I make this viable? Now watching what you've done over the last year to 2 years, your struggles are not the same.
No.
Right? Like your business is thriving. You've built a successful coaching program. I'm watching you fill the experience, your event this time versus the first time, and it's night and day. Not to mention who you have become in the process is night and day. It's not just like now people are coming in and buying the tickets. It's how you're approaching putting the experience out into the world. But now you're like what you're navigating is different because I think you're being called, or I know you're being called into a new level of you. So I want to talk about this idea of obedience for a minute, because I think this is a theme that's been true for you. And again, right before we started recording, we were talking about a sermon that you were just hearing this weekend. I want to identify the difference between the goals we set, right? Like when we start a business or when we're in, even like when we're well into business, we're often focused on, all right, where are we going? What are the goals? How do we scale it? How do we make more money? What do we do with like kind of the strategy and the tactics? But when we start to shift into calling, right, the conversation becomes different. Who do I need to be, right? What is God calling me to? It's not necessarily like, what are the goals that I want or that sound good or that the market says are right? So you're kind of in this crux right now of navigating this shift from strategy and business development where you've done those things and you've done them incredibly well, both with your real estate portfolio that you've built to be incredibly strong and now with Real Estate Bestie. But now God's calling you into a new season, a new version of you, a new model and reimagining of what Real Estate Bestie was and is now going to become. Let's talk about first you. Like when you and I met, talk about you as a leader, you in terms of your capacity then, you in terms of where your focus was, and then juxtapose it against Rosemary today and how it looks different. Because I think a lot of times if we don't take the time to actually look at the progress of us and we only focus on the progress of the business, we're doing ourselves a massive disservice of seeing what God's done in our lives to transform us and equip us and make us ready for what the next climb is going to be. But I'm curious, in your words, like, what do you see as big difference? Because I have my thoughts, but I want to know from your vantage point.
Yeah, she was definitely unsure. I probably said to you 112 times, like, I don't know what the heck I am doing. I definitely, so it's weird, right? And it's one of those things where there have been so many times in my life where I've had to say, like, I believe God, but then I have to say, but do you believe him for you? Like, do you believe him for what he's calling you to do? Because I think that there is a natural propensity to like go back to like what you can see within your own eyes, or what you think you can do within your own will and with your own power, and put it back on when calling has nothing to do with like what you can do at the moment. Like all God needs is your willingness. So when I look back at her, I'm gonna tell you, I'm proud of her for getting somebody to come alongside her, right? I'm proud of her for also doing the things when they didn't make sense, because now we talk about, for example, the event that I'm hosting, like it costs 4 times as much, literally 4 times as much this year to host it than it did last year. So one would think just that alone should just give you more stress, but I don't have zero stress. And I'm not just saying that to be cute. Now, are there like, is it a to-do list of things that need to get done? And like, are there definitely balls in the air? Absolutely. Am I definitely like, I wonder how this is going to work out, but I'm not stressed. You know why? Because I have evidence. There is a song by Naomi Rain where she says, I have evidence that your word is true. And she said, I am the evidence. So I am the evidence. What we did last year by just like, Lord, I don't know, like how are people going to receive a faith-based real estate conference? Like it sounds like, ketchup on a turkey sandwich. It just doesn't make sense, right? Unless you eat ketchup on a turkey sandwich, then, God bless it.
Right.
But, all of those unknowns last year, I have confidence this year in not only the event, but who God is and what he's calling me to do and who I am in him, because we took action and now I have evidence. And going back to that obedience piece, because the place that I'm in life right now, which is ironically where I knew I would be, right? I went into and honestly, to be fair, I never went into real estate wanting to be, because I was like fake humble, right? So I never went into it saying I want to be a mogul who has this and that. I just didn't want to have to go back to teaching, right? I just wanted to be obedient. And I almost believe that God had to let me know then that it was a ministry component to it so that I would be willing to do it, because money was not a driver for me, right? I never would have imagined that I would have been able to, achieve some of the things that we've been able to achieve. And it would have scared me into not doing it if that was the primary driver. But now I'm on the other side of it, where now like his word is true. What he promised is that, okay, you're going to have a little bit of platform, a little bit of clout. Then we going to, it's all going to be for my glory. So now I'm at a point where he's calling me to step out of what I once prayed for, and trusting him into whatever that unknown step is. And And whereas I'm nervous about it, and I'm more nervous about the how than the what. Right? Like I trust him wholeheartedly. I just got to get out of my way of trying to figure out like how am I going to pivot? Like, is real estate bestie going to be business bestie or woman bestie or like he's just like, girl, just do like just take the first step.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at now. Is I believe that I have a deeper confidence in who I am because I have allowed myself to experience God differently.
Yeah.
And that has come from the obedience of meeting with him, the obedience of investing in our relationship, the obedience and doing what you tell me to do, right? Of taking action when it doesn't make sense, of investing in something that I think the biggest switch for me is like what I get to do now, it's eternal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like if I don't take the risk and God was choosing to use me to get this family closer to him, and because I don't take he's still God, he still can do it, but I don't want to delay their blessing because I am of my delayed obedience. So I just understand the weightiness of it a little bit better. And God has just been so good to me. And the more that I come into understanding of him, the more purpose I have in life. And I just feel compelled. I feel compelled. If you ever been to a restaurant that's so good that you like, who else can I bring here? This is great. Like, this is just too good for me to just do it by myself. Like, who else should, that's how I feel. Like, who else should know about this? Because this is too good.
Yeah.
And having that confidence, like that's what it's about. It's not about hitting a metric. It's not about it's about bringing others to Christ through the work. And then God is so good that he blesses it. I still live a great life. Like, yeah, all of that. So I don't know if I answered the question, but that's
You did. And you also highlighted something that I really want to make sure nobody misses is that you just said, like, you're doing all these things and you still don't fully know every ounce of the how. And you would be in such a different place, very painful place, because I've been in this place, the waiting place. If you had waited for full clarity and all of the answers that felt necessary and that you felt fully equipped, like your toolkit was locked, loaded, you had the full roadmap, you knew what every step was going to be, and you had the reassurance and the certainty instead of moving forward in obedience. Do you think that most leaders miss the opportunity for their big next, like what God's really calling them to, where it would really bear fruit, where they would find peace despite the chaos they're feeling right now, trying to make it all work because they are so busy looking for the how, looking for the strategy before they take the step instead of listening for the actual assignment?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that a place that I got caught up, and you and I have talked about this, is, like sometimes I would look at people, like you could take, two singers, right? One of them singing at Carnival Cruise Line, the other one Beyonce. They both just as good. And sometimes it's like, why? Like, I felt like I was waiting for somebody to discover me or for somebody to say, yes, stamp of approval before I could step into what God was calling me to do. But the reality is that your ministry is wherever you are, because wherever you are, God is. So for me, if I had to say like a big aha in the last, couple of years or year, it's like I don't have to wait for somebody's approval or invitation before I fully step into what God is calling me to do. And it just so happens that, and it's just crazy because as we're building Real Estate Bestie, I'm getting so much quote unquote, is the right acknowledgement? I don't know. But from the stage that we've built, you know what I mean? As opposed to waiting to be invited. But this is a beautiful thing about building the stage, because I've heard people like, oh, you got to build this stage. I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for Jesus. So I also am even holding Real Estate Bestie with an open hand, because I know that it's all about glorifying God. So we get to do it here. But sometimes you're so waiting on exactly how it's going to play out. When I'm worried about how it's going to play out, I know that I'm concerned about Rosemary's plan and not what God is calling me to. Mm-hmm. And it still happens. But then there's an ego check to say, okay, What are you building? Like, what is this for? Who are you focused on? And the more that I am focused on him, don't do it perfectly every day, but when I realign myself to him, then it makes it very clear to just take the next step.
Yeah. What did you feel like you had to stop tolerating or stop proving in order to make that shift from like that, you kind of described yourself in the earlier stage versus now? Like, what did you have to release in you in order to experience that transformation and that growth?
I'll say two things, and one might be expectations based on what other people's experiences are.
Yep.
You and I have talked very extensively. Like, I'll be looking at other coaches and other platforms and be like, man, they. Da-da-da-da." And here's the thing, God didn't run out of blessings. You know what I'm saying? Just because he blessed their platform in a certain way, it doesn't mean that there's none left over for me. But here's the bigger thing. Even if there's never a large platform, that doesn't mean not to be faithful in the call of where he has you. There's a young lady, Nona Jones. She's a pretty popular preacher. And one time she came to our church and she said that she would pray this prayer all the time, like, God, please don't let your favor take me anywhere where my character won't sustain me. And I think about a lot of conversations you and I had where I was kind of like, when's I'm gonna get my next break? Thank the Lord I didn't get a break then, right? Because my foundation in him wasn't strong enough. So now, I'm like, Lord, like, just keep me humble, keep me near you. Because even the way, not that I didn't love the Lord then, but it's just it's a continuum pruning, right? It's that John 15:5, like, continue to prune me, take away the branches that don't bear fruit so that I can bear more. So for me, it was like that comparison, that impatience. Those are things that I just had to remove. And in the place, and it's not easy. I still have to remove it. Like, I still have to remind myself when that flesh bubbles up, like, you tripping. You know what I mean? Like, God is good. God loves you. And all of these different things. But I think that those would be like the biggest two, like me expecting something from him that he didn't necessarily promise me, and he didn't promise he would do it in that way, and holding it all with an open hand.
Yeah, exactly. I remember this conversation we had last year where you were in the thick of a stressful time work-wise. And we had had a few calls in a row where I could tell something was off in you. Like, super common, right? Like, we all navigate these kind of gauntlets and hurdles. And you had a lot of confusion and a lot of like wanting to know the answer, but not having it yet. And I asked you, what do you think you need to do? Like, what's the answer? If you knew the answer, what would that answer be? And I'm sure you know where I'm going with this, but what was your response and how has that guided you since then? Because I've seen it become a true north for you and it's changed everything. But what was your reply? Because I want to hear it coming out of your mouth because it's been so profound. And I've spoken of this story with other people, helping give them a true north of like how you find your way in the moments where you feel like you're a little bit lost.
Yeah, I was like at my wit's end, like really frustrated with the Lord. And I was on a visionary retreat because you told me to go away and like dream. I'm like, I'm sick of dreaming. I'm ready to do. So I'm
Right.
just like having it out with the Lord, like casting, like what my thoughts are. And then I was just pleading with him, and I heard so clearly. It was like, listen, let me tell you your job, little girl. Love God, love the besties, serve them well. And I was like, I wrote it down. I was like, love God, first and foremost. Love the besties, because they're coming to me for real estate advice. But what they're going to get is a walking, talking, living, breathing community, not just Rosemary, but a community that embodies the love of Christ, and serve them well. And then I just literally wrote out like, okay, well, how do I serve them? You serve them with your podcast. You serve them with YouTube. You can serve them with these offers. You can serve them with Bible study, all these different things. And that took the pressure off. It was just like, I just like, girl, just serve, love me. And the more that you love me, God speaking to me, I'm going to give you capacity to love my daughters who I'm trusting you with, and the resources on how to meet them and serve them. So like even we're 2 weeks away from our event, and I'm just like, man, I'm just so excited to serve them. I'm so excited to love them well, because I know that there is somebody who we may be the only version of Jesus they'll see because they're not walking in a church. Right? They have church hurt, or maybe they're at church, but they have that distant, they don't have that intimate love relationship. And we get to authentically bring them into a place where it's not only modeled, but it's encouraged. And I'm just excited about that. And when I come back to that, even from like a pricing standpoint, when I started pricing my coaching, I was like, it made it a value thing. It was like, no, love God, love the bestie, serve him well. Coaching at a high level is a way to serve them. And if someone isn't able to engage at that level at this time, then I have other ways that we serve them that does not require that level of investment, right? And we're still serving them with excellence at every level. So that totally has shifted the game, and that has been my true north, as you say, when it comes to how I want to show up for the community.
Yeah. Yep. I've had a front row seat to that evolution. And now it's fun getting to talk through future evolutions or current evolutions, because I think, nothing is ever in vain, right? Like, especially when it comes from God. So sometimes he steers us down a path because we need to learn something or become somebody or meet someone or let go of certain things so that we're ready for whatever the next assignment is. And it's pretty clear as you get ready for the experience, the event that you host, and new rounds of coaching and things, that this tribe and this, because you really have built a movement around this. And this is the coolest thing, is that, like, for the listeners, Rosemary hasn't used paid advertising for what she's built around Real Estate Bestie. She has done this like grassroots organically through that mission of serving her people well. And as a result, it has really, really grown and become something that has transcended being a business or a series of offers and turned into a movement that is magnetizing her people without needing to force that. And I talk a lot about that premise of, are you building from a place of force, which in the beginning I think you were, like most of us, and now building from a place of overflow, which really comes from the transformation of you. But now Real Estate Bestie, I know it's been placed on your heart in a big way, is like, man, the things that we're teaching and preaching and the way that these women are coming together and the way that we are able to serve them isn't exclusive to women in real estate. It was a need because Jesus probably wasn't at the center of real estate for most people. Even if they had faith, it was still pretty compartmentalized. And you've kind of opened this floodgate of like, wait, what if he was at the helm of everything that you were doing? But talk about this evolution and be candid. Like, since you're kind of in real time with this, I have zero doubt that anyone could come in front of you and that you could serve them, whatever industry they're in, whatever age they are, whatever income level, man, woman, doesn't matter. So I know that, but when you're in it, that confidence is a lot harder to have. So talk in real time about some of the raw elements of being in a new transformation and a new evolution, and what God's been putting on your heart in terms of this new movement. Or I shouldn't say new movement. It's really just like the evolution of this movement that's really speaking to you right now. And then like what fears are creeping in as you navigate it.
Yeah, there's so many, because I do, like, I was telling you the other day, I was like, okay, well, is it being called to women in business? And then I was in the shower the other day and it was like, or is it just women, Lord? Like, what are we doing? I don't know, right? There are lots of hesitations or things to consider that I have to make sure won't stop me. Something like, surely the name is Real Estate Bestie, right? So I have so many women, often clients that I serve as their real estate agent or just friends in different industries. They're like, man, I look at what you're doing and I want to sign up and I want to come to the thing. But, when I hear real estate, I'm turned off, and I'm like, ugh. So just even that, like, okay, what do I name? Like, that's a small thing, but like, what do I name it? Where it's very, and Real Estate Bestie is such a dope name. It's just like, it really embodies what the community is. So it's hard for me to go to like, Business Girls for Jesus. Like, I don't know. But so just something from the name. But then also, I don't want the besties, as I call them, to feel like I've abandoned them for, this new calling or this evolution of the calling. So it's just thinking through, like, how do you fully embrace where God is calling you and step into that, but not discard the people that he's trusted you with.
Mm-hmm.
So even in terms of, like, if it's a rebrand or something like that, I don't want the besties to feel like they're not welcome, because they will always be welcome in any space and in my heart. And then just, logistically, like, I think of women. Running a real estate business is so different from traditional business. So just like, Lord, am I qualified to do that? But then, and I remember telling you, like, I feel like once I get so much success in Real Estate Bestie, then it'll qualify me to work with women in other industries. And you're like, yeah, no, you don't need that. So these are all of the things that I'm working through. And then also, like, the real time, how? Like, how am I supposed to, because like you said, like, I have very naturally and organically grown this audience that is much comprised of women in real estate. So now if we are reaching others, am I supposed to just go on that podcast and be like, oh, by the way, if you're a banker and you want to, make sure that your business and your life is a mission towards Jesus, hit me up. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. And there are just a lot of unanswered questions, but the only answer that I have to be is like a yes. Like, okay, Lord, but I'm willing. And one of the first things that you and I have talked about is I am freeing up some things in my schedule that I know are not in alignment with who God is calling me to be. Like, that's the first step. And right now I'm just focused on the first step, because I know that for what he's calling me into, there's not going to be room for parts of what I did, like in my actual real estate business. So my first step is being obedient to that, not worrying about the money, not worrying about what the people in the community go think, freeing myself up, because I know that the call is way more into ministry.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had a mentor who told me that the how is what will choke out any creativity or any vision, because we want that the how is just a craving of certainty. And in order to do the profound, right? Like the things that we see people do that we're like, whoa, like that's impact, or that's, really hearing God's call in your life, not just like the incremental, oh, and then they launched this program and they sold this much money, but like the true movements that we admire in the world, they didn't have the how, right?
Yeah.
Like they just don't go into it with the roadmap, and they probably proceed very much on the back of the, revolution you had or realization you had around just like serve the people. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know if I get asked to be on that podcast that isn't a real estate podcast. What am I going to talk about? I don't know. Let's see what the Holy Spirit does when I get there. And I just know that I have to be willing to say yes when the opportunity comes. Curious, since I feel like, when you were in our mastermind and I've seen you coach other people, I want you to just preach for a minute here. If you're talking to someone listening, maybe the one who's clinging to what's working because they only know what got them here,
Mm-hmm.
and they're holding tightly to it because it's what's paying the bills, or it's what they know, or it's what they're known for. But they're quietly suffocating, right? Like they know there's something else calling them, but they're like, I don't know how.
Yeah.
What do you want them to know about obedience and expansion and calling and courage in this season, if that nudge is there for them?
Yeah. Obedience is so much greater than sacrifice. Like, it's in the Bible and it says it. I was actually having a conversation with my husband, and I want to talk to you about, from the context of how God sees you, right? And how I want God to see me and how I want God to see the listeners. So I was telling my husband, like, have you ever talked to somebody about their kid and they love their kid? We all love our kid, but proud of your kid, right? Like, oh yeah, Michaela, she's in cheer and she just got national honor society and she's this and she's that and blah, 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 blah. And then you ask them about their other kid who isn't as decorated or is really going through a tough moment. That same parent equally loves their kid, but they might be like, oh yeah, well, Michael's good. I shouldn't have said Michael. Your husband's Michael. But like he's good. Like he's doing okay. I don't want God to say that about me.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want him to know that he left me on earth to fulfill a mission. Same thing with you. And he's like, "Oh yeah, Rosemary's cool. She's a real estate broker." Like stopping halfway of where he's calling you, because this is why that parent's disappointed, is because they know that their kid was created for more, right? They know that there is a greater purpose than, they know that these outside distractions, or they're not oblivious to the challenges of the world, but they have evidence in their other kids that, like, you can show up and really do something magical. I want us to show up and really do something magical for the kingdom. And a lot of times we get to this place of comfort because we want to just stay where safe for our family, and God is not a God of confusion. Understand that he wants, your family to be taken care of even more than you, but that may look different than what we have to do, what we think in our own minds. And when we look at the Bible, every time they do something opposite or halfway or go in a separate direction, he is there and present and in the midst. So my encouragement to the person who is afraid of taking the leap is, think about the people in your life who, if they didn't take the leap, your life would be forever changed, right? I think about you, Liz. Like, if you didn't take the leap in business to learn the hard lessons, then that would have affected who God was going to use to encourage me to take the leap, you know? And you owe it to yourself, but you owe it to your God to use up everything. Like, I tell people, I want to go to heaven on E. Everything was used up. Not no shoulda. The worst thing in the world is living a life of shoulda, coulda, woulda. I was with a lady the other day, and she was like, "Oh, I always wanted to be an attorney, but this and but that," and she's telling me how she's, in a job that she hates, but she's always said she would stay somewhere for 5 years. And I said, "Well, let me ask you this: if you never become an attorney, would that be a shoulda, coulda, woulda on your deathbed?" And she was like, "Yes." And I had just met the lady in like 5 minutes. I asked her that question, probably so inappropriate, but I was like, "Then you probably should do it." Right? Because I would rather do it and it not work out. Because even if it doesn't work out, best believe that it might have been because the day you failed the test, God was going to have you minister to the lady who gave you the report. Right? He always has a plan. So the worst thing that you can be in life is stuck. And let me tell you that that's where the enemy wants us. He knows that you're smart enough. Everybody listens to this podcast. He knows that you're smart enough not to go out and rob a store, kill somebody, do something just totally egregious. He knows that. But boy, oh boy, if he can get you to bury those gifts, he won. If he can get you to be real quiet for your safety and not bring others to Christ through your work in the marketplace, right? He won. We don't get to let him win. So that's what I would say.
I'm going to need this. I'm going to bump up the date of this recording so I can go back and listen to it and let you preach to me. And I think you just answered your own question, Rosemary, of like, what are you speaking to in the marketplace outside of real estate? It was like those last 3 minutes on steroids. Like, that is what the world needs so deeply. And it's bigger than you, right? Like, it will, because of your willingness, because of your faith, it doesn't, and I want to emphasize this, you can have willingness and faith and be in obedience and struggle, right? Like, I don't like when people paint a picture, not you, I'm not implying you at all. People paint a picture, and I think it's because we get things in clips, right? So we get like nuggets on social media where it looks like this person's like, yes, and then I just surrendered and I was obedient, and then life was beautiful. And it's like,
great. Bless the Lord for all he's done.
Amen. Yep. And I'm over here like, you're full of it. And if we had a behind the scenes of your reality when you said yes, the suffering, the struggle, the internal turmoil, but all the while God had you. And because you had that willingness, he brought you through the desert, and then you got to experience the glory and the fruitfulness and whatever. So I never like to downplay that piece of it. But the alternative is suffering in the desert ongoing.
Yeah.
Like you never get your thirst quenched because you're doing
never.
it your way. You're strong arming it. So yeah, I'm telling you, you're signing up for hard, but I'm also telling you, if you don't do it, you're signing up forever for hard, right? Like no opportunity to experience really what we all want is like a peace. It's a knowing that we're on the path. It's a knowing like, yes, this is how we were supposed to do it. This feels aligned. This is what I'm called to do. And any discomfort or like that, I don't know, friction that we feel on a day-to-day basis is coming from not knowing, right? Like is coming from feeling like we're not willing or obedient. So the peace is only found in that obedience. But I just wanted to highlight that secondary piece of it. Like, and we're not telling you, you magically say, okay, God, I'm in. And then like you make your million the next day and life becomes easy and you kick your feet up and it's just smooth sailing from there.
Now, it'll probably get harder, but it will definitely be more fulfilling.
You know, and your capacity will expand to be able to take on the hard that comes your way, right? Like what feels so, the little things. Have you ever been in like seasons where like the littlest thing just derails you and you're like, I don't even want to tell this to my friend because they're going to roll their eyes and be like, you know, like, and that's life. Like you stubbed your toe and now you've had a couple of hard things come your way. Like get over it. It's because your capacity is this big because you're doing it alone, but you can take on a million times what seems to be tanking you right now with Christ. So it's like, are you going to get in the boat with him? Or are you going to just keep trying to tread water thinking that you're going to get over the waves on your own? And so that's, to me, that's such a testament to you and what you're doing and your courage and your willingness and how you're so committed to bringing people with you. And I think that's the key is like the loving them well piece is a gift of yours that I don't know, you might take for granted. Not everybody does that. Not everybody thinks to even do that because they're so trapped in their own stuff. Like they're focused inward and you really are focused outward. And as you do this, you also are raising two incredible sons, very handsome boys.
Thank you.
Alongside your awesome husband, Corey. I want to know, let's just fast forward 10 years from now. We have no idea where we'll be or what it will look like. But the Bestie movement has been blessed because of your willingness. What do you hope your sons remember about watching you step into this movement and this obedience and all that you're creating with God at the helm?
Okay, I love this question. What do I hope that they see? When my mom passed away, she left me not $1. Now, and she told me too, like full disclosure, she was like, we're going to spend all this money while we're going to enjoy it together, right? So she was not irresponsible, or maybe she was, I don't know. We had a great time. But what she left me was a legacy far more than any financial reward would be. And I'm not telling you don't leave your kids nothing. But me and my husband just had this conversation about like what we're working for. And he made a comment of like, oh, I want to make it where my kids don't have to work. And I'm like, actually, I don't want that. Maybe if you asked me 5 years ago, I might have said that. But I want to leave them what I know will be eternal, which is Christ. So what I hope they see in 10 years, like what they see from the movement is like fear not being a factor. Not that you're not scared, but fear not holding you. Like, don't be somebody. I was at a conference once. They said, don't be afraid of your fears. Fear is natural, but I want them to see and know that even when I was scared, when I didn't have it figured out, that I trusted Jesus more than I trusted myself. And I just took action. And I know that modeling, whatever he calls them to, it may be completely different. For them, it may be just taking action in their home in the way that they steward and pastor their kids and their spouses. I just want them to see somebody who loves the Lord so much that she was compelled to love him out loud and love others. And it compels them to do the same.
Amen to that. Okay, tell people where they can find you, connect with you, be with you, learn from you.
So I love to play on Instagram, on the Instagram. That's my favorite place. I haven't got down to the ticker talker like the youngins.
Me neither.
But on Instagram, slide in my DMs. I'm the Real Estate Bestie. I would love for you to just tell me that you heard this episode, that you are pursuing your big next. So that's where I am. My website is rosemarylewis.com. We still selling real estate. So, just any other thing. If anything resonated, just you can connect with us either on Instagram or our direct website.
We will point them in all the directions. But Rosemary, I love you and I'm so proud of you and I'm so grateful to call you a friend. And thank you for your wisdom today and just shining Christ's light on all that you do and all the people that you touch.
Thank you. And Liz, I want to say this real quick before we go. I met you right before life threw you the biggest blow. And even in that, you served like Jesus, right? You served with a broken heart. You loved me well and you stewarded me well, even as you were taking care of yourself. And it is not unnoticed. And I love you dearly. I'm so grateful that you are in my life. And a lot of the things that I get to celebrate, the wins that I outwardly get to celebrate, is because of how you have championed me, even in the darkest moments and the brightest moments of your life. So I just love you and I appreciate you.
You have no idea what that means to me. And you made it easy. Thank you.
Love you.
Love you too. Quick note, if you haven't taken our free leadership style quiz yet, it's time. This is an assessment where your brain's going to explode. You're going to know exactly how God wired you to lead and why all this feeling of like forcing it and burnout and stress and overwhelm, it doesn't belong in your next chapter. Go to the description. I have it there. You can go to luminaryleadershipco.com/style. Trust me, your next big leap, it depends on it. Go check it out.